Hi everyone, Luca from lgmphotography.co.uk, and in this video I just wanted to give you my final review on the Tokina 16 to 28mm. When I say final, I've made my mind about this lens and I'm going to tell you what I think about it, but I may do further reviews, we'll see. Right, so first thing first is the construction. I think I've already covered this, but it really is built like a tank. It's really a solid piece of metal, glass, and it's heavy. It's a big lens as well. You could easily compare it to the 14 to 24mm. The front element has a very strong curve to it, so I will put a little video so you can see a close-up to it. But it's beautiful glass. You look at it and it's just really nice, and you can see that the construction is really well made. This lens was made in Japan, so normally is a sign that Japan lenses are normally better quality than Chinese lens or from elsewhere. However, it doesn't matter anyway. But okay, so let's go to the focus ring. The focus ring is not a little clip, it's just the ring that goes up and down like that, which is different. I like it. I personally found it quite easier because you can pretty much change it from anywhere where your hand is by being like this with one finger or two, instead of finding the clip, trying to find one. If you have a VR little switch as well, you don't got to be careful not to switch the wrong one. So I found this better than the normal switch you get on Nikon lens or other lens. Apart from this, is an f2.8, so very light, very fast. Optical quality, I found it very good, very sharp. Very sharp lens, probably as sharp as the 14 to 24, which you pay probably twice the price for it. I've tested the 14 to 24, it's a beautiful lens. I like that extra 2mm you get out of it. It doesn't make that much difference, to be honest, but it's always nice to have it. Anyway, 16 to 28 is a good range on a 35mm sensor, like a full frame. And I found it very handy for specific jobs, specific work I do. I don't use this lens for landscape. I've never used this lens for landscape, and I will never, because if you are a landscape photographer or want to get yourself into landscape photography, you don't use ultra wide angle for landscape photography. It doesn't work because you start getting distortion. You just won't get a good quality and good straight image to reflect what you're seeing. And most of landscape photographers, which I've started as, use probably between 35 and 50mm focal length, but then use a panel to be able to kind of capture more into the picture. You do not use a super wide angle to capture more. You normally use it to change your perspective, which is very important to know. Again, you know, these are rules that are just there because someone decided it was like this. And it's true, it does work this way, but if you're looking to do something a bit different and want to try to get a landscape with this lens, I'm sure you'll do something great. But you have to think that instead of having your horizon that will be straight, it will be a curved line, which is pretty much the same as a fisheye lens. Maybe not as much, but you will get a lot of distortion with it. Now, 16mm focal length is the focal length that Nikon used for its fisheye lens for the FX. So just, you know, to make you aware, 16 is very wide and you will capture a lot in the picture. I used to use this lens mostly for videos because the ring is so smooth, so nice. It really is one of the best rings I've used for manual focus. And for video, for some reason, it just looks so much nicer than the picture. I mean, the picture looks great with it, don't get me wrong, but I think for video it's an extremely good lens, especially if you're using a DX camera. Like I used to use this with my D7000 for most of my videos. Now that I have a D800, obviously I'm changing a few things and I probably won't be using it for that. The reason I was using this lens mostly was for certain part in a wedding. If you don't know, I'm a wedding photographer, and that's what I do pretty much 95% of my time. And this was really good for the church. In the so, for example, when you have the ceremony there, and to capture actual a full church. Again, you need to be careful depending on how you angle your lens. You will get more distortion, so it is good to get used to it. I also use it for very tight situation where lots of people, like bride and groom, come out of the church. Everyone throw the confetti out. This lens was great. This lens, the SB900, the flashlight, and it just works. You know, I normally try to keep my aperture quite small, so I capture as much as I can in a picture. You know, I want to get everything in focus. I don't want a shallow depth of field. This is no why. This is one of the reasons I use this lens. It's so wide that even using a f2.8, your depth of field will still quite big because it's so wide. Recommendation, I would say this lens is good for lots of things. I unfortunately don't use it as much as I would like to because it just doesn't fit a lot of my needs, and but I can see this lens being an excellent lens for anyone's looking for a super wide lens because it is super wide. 24mm on the FX is probably my most wide focal length I use. I rarely put this lens on for normal job. So yeah, my recommendation, if you need an ultra wide lens, just get it because it's outstanding quality. It really is. You do get a bit of flare from the sun, which for some people is nice, for some people is not. So something to think about. But what I'll do is I'll pull it on the D800 now and show you the focal length and how much back you can get, how much you can get in the picture.
Okay, so that's the lens at 28mm. As you can see, you can pretty much see quite a lot at this stage. So we're just going to bring the lens now down to 24, which is obviously the start focal length for the 24 to 70. So we can see a small difference here, no major, but let's keep dropping down. So now we're going down to 20mm. Now, I don't know if you've seen on the left hand side, but you start seeing some flare coming to the lens. So that's one of the issue with this lens. You do get a bit of flaring, so as more the sun comes into the picture, more the flares appearing here. So and now we are down to 16mm, which is the widest. So quite a big difference between 16 and 28. Apart from this, as you can see, it does keep a quite straight picture, and the reason for that is because I try to keep the angle of the camera as straight as possible. But it is very good lens to use for any video work or photo work you want to do. Just be aware that there are some flare issues which can be a bit removed for pictures, but probably not as much for video, so something to bear in mind. If you have any question, please post something down below, a question, and I'll get back to you. Cheers, see ya.